is no point in my life where I have truly been comfortable. And while work is always required, it's not work that is debilitating. It's work that is freeing. It's work that's inspiring, that's expanding, that is loving, that is unconditional. Decentering masculinity is not being moved by the changes and the ebbs and flow of the physical life. Don't worry about being comfortable. Worry about being aligned. Welcome back to another episode of Here We Grow, where we are growing for real and not for show. Y'all already know I am your beautiful host, Kiki. You already know. And this is my beautiful co host, my mommy. Say hello. Thank you. I appreciate you. Let's talk about the illusion of being comfortable. Being comfortable. I don't know why I added like the little twang to it. But being comfortable, okay. I remember when I was younger, and you know, when you're younger, you have conversations about like, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up, or do you want to be rich when you grow up, or you know, all those like silly questions they ask us to kind of gauge our interests about what we consider as a successful or a happy, fulfilling life. And I remember at a young age just being like, I just want to be comfortable. Like, I want to be in a space where I have access to things that I want and I can get them. But I didn't necessarily need to live like a super flashy life. I grew up pretty comfortable. I got things that I wanted, but I never had huge desires about, you know, some people were like, hey, I want me a mansion, and I want, you know, a Ferrari as a car, and I want, you know, boats, and those things are cool. There's totally nothing wrong with that. I just didn't grow up in that way. Like, we still had access to certain things, like I don't want to say like a lot more than most people in the area, but we still had access to things that some people did not. So I knew that in that space I was pretty privileged and in a space where I could actually explore different things to have an opinion about what I wanted my life to look like. But it never was about being flashy or having the most or having every single thing. But I was contemplating because this is the last week of my job, right? We kind of talked about that last week um, in the previous episode. And I got another job. And it happened so fast. Literally, after I recorded the video on Monday last week, those few days after that, I was like feeling a little uncomfortable, like just because I really didn't know what was about to happen. I knew that I was going to make sure that I was taken care of, that my needs were being met, you know, but I still was a little uncomfortable because I'm like, what's going to happen, you know? And then this my ego started to show up because I have a master's, right? So my ego is like, you don't need to start working, you know, back at certain jobs and doing certain work or having certain responsibilities in a work setting that you've kind of expanded beyond because you have a degree, right? You have more experience, you have more to offer, right? And while that is the truth, it was that me kind of drowning in that uncomfortability, that expectation of what it meant like to expand, to succeed. And as I said in the previous episode, life is about the ebbs and flows, right? The hills and the valleys. And so I had to just kind of release that ego attachment to what it meant to be successful, breaking down that perspective. Like, just because I was technically working in my field and I might not be able to work in my field for a little while until I find something else that matches my personality, that matches the desires financially, that doesn't mean that I'm not doing something correctly, right? I'm already proving my existence because I'm already here as a being, right? Like, life in itself, being alive in itself is the experience, right? Is the job. So I was just, I had to just kind of relax. And literally Wednesday, the same job reached out to me about another position that they had open that they felt would have aligned with me as an individual. And then I was hired the next day. I was interviewed the next day, and then I was hired a few hours after. So this goes back to the previous episode, which I'm obviously piggybacking off of, right? How fast life changes, how there is no such thing as being comfortable on the outside, right? Women tend to always think about or have discourse about decentering masculinity or decentering men. And so, obviously, on my journey as a woman that has learned how to work on my self love and to realize that I am the one that I'm looking for and really pouring into myself, that is something that's going to happen, right? Naturally, you're going to decenter men. It's not saying that you don't necessarily want men in your experience, but you approach men, or you approach the idea of love um, between two people in a different sense, right? In a different way. And so I was watching this video, of course, on TikTok, and this lady was just kind of describing, the fact that we all as people are, we're made up of masculine and feminine energies, right? So the emotions, the left-brainedness, I think there's a left-brainedness, yeah. The imagination, the mind, the thoughts, right? That's feminine, right? And then masculinity is the physical manifestations of those thoughts, of those feelings, of that imagination, basically. And so when she was describing masculinity and saying, like, decentering masculinity is not all about men, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that click that goes off, and I'm like, wow, like, so we have, for some reason, our people or humans are just so obsessed with relationships that we most of the time we have these deep thought-provoking conversations, we limit them to conversations about relationships and decentering men or decentering women or whatever the case may be, right? Like, it's always this one-sided approach to how to navigate life in a way to protect yourself ultimately. Like, it's a protection mechanism that we know isn't real, because if you are if you've mastered something, you need no protection from it, okay? But however, the decentering masculinity is not being moved by the changes and the ebbs and flow of the physical life, okay? That falseness, that illusion of comfortability is masculinity. So me now starting this new job, I'm gonna be doing a lot more, right? Like, it's everything about it is more, all the way down to the finances, right? And I'm super grateful, I'm super blessed, because it lets me know that I am expanding my horizon, and I am opening my space up more to hold more energy in every aspect and every way. But I can't lie, like, it's not scary. It's uncomfortable. And I'm like, am I gonna do a great job? And am I gonna do this right? And that's that the logic trying to take over the masculine part, right? Because it's like, I really don't know what's gonna happen. I really don't know what's gonna go on, but I need to have some type of stability, some type of foundation, so that I won't be completely like taken aback by certain aspects of this new experience that's coming in. And it's like, just live in the present moment and just be here, and so I am seeing a few clients this week for the last time, and it's bittersweet, but I'm very grateful for what I've learned in this job. I've learned so much about myself, and I've seen so many aspects of myself pop up during this job, and just the growth that I have experienced overall. And It's going to be very hard seeing some clients knowing that that's the last time and that our time was ultimately cut short, right? What is that saying that people always say, like, I can't even think of it, but ultimately, like, things happen for seasons, right? Lessons aren't really meant to be taught for the rest of your life. Most of the time, lessons are really short when you're aware of them, when you are in a position to let go and not be attached to certain things, right? They happen pretty fast. And so things are, seasons are always happening and they're changing, and we just have to go with the flow like water. We have to be fluid. And that's what I've just been like, wow, like that's what's been on my mind lately as an individual. The real comfortability is you, the individual that can maintain um, the life force within itself, the soul, right? When we have expectations, we rob ourselves of the experience of other possibilities. We we forget that there is actually more, and we forget that we actually can get what we want. And while work is always required, it's not work that is debilitating. It's work that is freeing. It's work that's inspiring, that's expanding, that is loving, that is unconditional. And while being uncomfortable in this stage of my life, it's I'm excited, you know, like I feel more equipped, I feel more capable, I feel more accepting, and just grateful that everything leading up to this moment led up to right now. And this is not the end, right? Like, this is still another stepping stone that is bringing me back home. And so I was like, it's always, the perception is always key. The mind is literally everything. And when we have these situations where life is changing and, maybe new things are required of us that we're not quite used to, or maybe we feel like we're uncomfortable doing, like, change that into excitement. Transmute that fear. Because the fear is not real, right? That's why people are, when they feel uncomfortable, they retreat in every aspect of their lives, right? If it's even from, you know, family situations, jobs, friendships, they retreat because it's easy to be comfortable. Like, of course, like, we want to be comfortable, we want to feel safe ultimately. But sometimes the fear of, or the illusion of not being safe can push us in certain situations that's actually enslaving us to certain aspects of our lives that we've either outgrown or that we actually didn't need to open in the first place. Like, that door was not supposed to be, we shouldn't have went through that door, you know? So yeah, I'm just like, there is no point in my life where I have truly been comfortable. And the true comfort is knowing that, like water, I change shape, and I'm a shapeshifter, and I have the ability to flow, and I flow with grace, and I flow with love and joy and peace, you know. Flow. Don't get caught up in what you see, right? Because we've talked about this multiple times, but the 3D, the physical, is the dead world. Okay, it's already been manifested. It's already happened. So that's why it's important to maintain the energy of the embodiment that you want. I know my words are probably choppy right now because I'm just like I'm actively processing at this moment, but it's uncomfortable to stay in a space of the desires that you want, right? Let me give you an example. If you say that you want to be an honest person, and there will be situations, right, that will call for that honesty. And sometimes honesty hurts. Truth is one of the highest frequencies, right? And it's a hard one because we know in this world we're so used to being comfortable. We are so used to being pacified. We're so sensitive that most of us can't really take the truth all the time. So when you are in those spaces as an honest person, or as a person that wants to be honest, and you're not speaking truth and you're not having integrity, then that's just not gonna work. Like I was trying to like say something poetic, like it's just not gonna work. It's truly not gonna work. Like it's easy to not be honest. It's easy to put someone else's needs above your own, because that's ultimately what these things are about. Life is seeing whether or not we are going to choose ourselves over others. Like, of course, there are situations where you have to be more supportive of others, or others might need you more, but at the end of the day, it's about not compromising yourself, not compromising your morals or your values or your desires, because they're all intertwined. They're definitely intermingled. So don't worry about being comfortable. Worry about being aligned. And when you become aligned, it won't be a such thing as uncomfortable or comfortable. You're just doing what your heart wants. And when you're being true to yourself, you will never be uncomfortable. You'll be authentic. You'll be authentic. And that means making hard choices. And that means staying grounded. And that means standing on business, about what you want, and who you want to embody, and the energy that you want to share and exude into the world. So, yeah. Decenter masculinity, right? It's okay to play with it and have fun with it, but don't get so caught up in it that you sacrifice and you jeopardize your femininity. And this is not just for women, this is for men as well, right? We have to heal these aspects of ourselves in order to be exactly who we're meant to be, in order to return back home. All paths lead back home. All of them. No matter how hard or how difficult, how traumatic, however you want to, whatever word you want to use that makes you feel the most comfortable. All paths are leading us back to our highest self, to our most loving, to our most caring, to our most unconditional, to our most open self. And most of those experiences were really opportunities are uncomfortable, because we have situated ourselves into personalities, into personas, into beings that weren't us to begin with. We got caught up in the illusion and we believed the lie. And that's okay. It's just the path. It's one of the paths. Some of us are able to get off of it sooner than others, but it doesn't matter, because we're still loved and we're still accepted, and we still have the opportunity to do whatever I want. That's what's so beautiful about this entire process, the free will piece, because while in certain aspects, right, we still can't control a lot of things in the physical, but we can control our response. We can't control our perception about them. And we can control our embodiment of certain things or not of them. Sorry guys, something's in my eye and you know it's trying to. Okay, we're not gonna let this bother us. I'm not gonna let it get to me. It's trying to. So y'all gonna see me digging in my eye, and that's okay. Cause this message is still gonna be said. Thank you. So whatever that was, that's okay. We still popping. We're still here. We're still present. But yeah, that was uncomfortable. But I got through it, you see? And it's cool. That was a physical example. Look at that. That's so funny. Tell y'all, source and God is just funny. Funny. But yes, it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's really setting us free. It's seeing, building that strength, building that true resiliency. And it's not something to look at in a negative way. It's just meant to be a space for growth, a space for expansion. That's it. Like, that's what all of this stuff is about. And it's like when you start talking about things and when you just kind of really dive deep into yourself and you realize that everything is just you, everything is just consciousness, and that's just what everything is about. Sometimes it seems like messages and thoughts are just repetitive, right? Because when we're actually saying something, nothing is actually being said, because it all boils down to consciousness, to our perspectives, to love, to our higher selves, to returning back to unconditionality. Like, that's literally what everything is. Even all the experiences that we go through is just pointing back at us. It's showing us. It's just a mirror about where we are, what we need to work on, or what we're striving to be. It's an invitation to return back home. Truly, that's what all of this is about. And it's so crazy. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm always just like going on and on about the same thing, because it is the same thing. We think it's so special. We just think it's so different, and it's just literally putting us in positions to lead us back to our uninfluenced and our unconditional self, to our, even through the changes, even through the uncomfortable points in our life, even through the hurtful points in our life, to remember, to remind ourselves that we still deserve that love. We still are loved. We still deserve the things that we want in life, because we are them. We are them. So I'm going to wrap it up here. And I really, really appreciate you guys for coming here again. If you guys have any things you want to see me talk about, if you're interested in being on a show, comment, DM me on my social media sites if you're on there. Just, I love to commune, I love to talk, and I love to be in a space where I can grow. And I want to continue to make sure that this space is about that at all times. So yes, thank you for watching another episode of Here We Grow, where we are growing and evolving one day at a time, one step at a time, and one moment at a time. I'll see you next week. Bye.